kind of a concern. Let's guess on that intersection there and hope for the best here. And what a Russia guess. What a Russia guess. That is absolutely insane. What is going on, guys? It is Zigzag here, and welcome back to another Geoguessr video. Today, I'm going to be playing a good amount of Diverse World, and I'm just going to break down my clues very exactly for newer players. So if you are an intermediate or newer player, this will definitely help you because I'm going to break down exactly how I go for each guess, and you know, there'll be some fails in there, but hopefully we'll be pretty consistent, and I'll definitely teach you some things that you didn't already know, especially if we get some rounds in Australia, because I'm pretty good in Australia. Yeah, also one thing I wanted to mention was that I've got an Instagram, it's ZigzagYT, and you can go ahead and follow that and smash like on there, and yeah, it'd be much appreciated. Get the following up on there. Also, I'll be referring to these two maps in the video, so you can go ahead and check those out in the description as well. One of them is for the Google cars of the world, and one of them is for the camera generations of the world. Okay, so let us get straight into the first map here. We're going to be playing no time limit and no moving. Of course, no moving is the way kings play the game. It is simply the superior way. Okay, so here we are in the first round. I will go in depth in here and show you guys everything that I'm thinking of when I'm seeing this one. Now this, we can get the country without even looking for three reasons, I would say. Number one, we are in winter coverage. You can see that all the trees are missing their leaves. And check out, all the trees are painted white at the bottom. This is definitely something you see in Soviet countries or ex-Soviet countries. And here we have also a car, and it has a red strip on the number plate. Now you will occasionally find that red strip in Bulgaria and in Albania, but it is most common in Kyrgyzstan. So that is leaning me towards that. And what is absolutely making me certain of it is the Google car right here. Now, some people prefer to play without Google car, but this one is unique. It's or at least more or less unique. It's got like a silver car with the two rearview mirrors, the roof racks, and you can just see it peeking through. We're driving the right-hand side of the road, and we also have some Cyrillic over here. So this all but makes it a dead cert. So now let's think about where we're going to be. We can use the compass to point north. So we're going to be on a road that is going up this direction. That means we're going to be going kind of northeast. And can we see any mountains is the other big question. So over to the south, we do not see any big mountains that I can see. And over to the north, we do not either. So we're going to be in a flatter part. I would suspect that we're actually probably just in Bishkek here, and we just can't quite see the mountains through these houses. That would make sense because we definitely can't see any big mountains to the north. And if you look at here, Kyrgyzstan is a very mountainous country. So that is what's leading me to this belief. And we're going to pick a road that, or at least mostly fits the angle of the road that we're on right now. And this one will have to do. And so that was actually a really good guess, 9.5 kilometers. Actually, this road angle was a bit better, but we are still 9.5 kilometers away. A very good way to start the video for sure. Definitely using that geography can really help. Okay, so the next one is obvious. The way you can tell that this is not Europe is the fact that it has yellow lines in the center. In fact, road lines are probably one of the most underrated things that you can look at, and you should definitely be paying attention to that first thing as you drop into a round. So let's take a look at some of these signs here. We are speaking English, and actually it says 3 miles west here. So definitely thinking US rather than Canada off the bat because of that reason. As in Canada, you'd often have things in kilometers rather than miles. So let's check it out. We got a house here made of wood. The architecture may come in handy here. We got a blue car, okay. The blue car means we are in Generation 4 camera, but that does not really help because Canada and the USA both have the Generation 4 new updated quality cameras. However, we don't have a front license plate here. So perhaps that makes Canada an option because many Canadian provinces don't use front license plates. But I still think I will go with the US here because of the fact that it is measured in miles. And so I'm just going to take a look around here for any other clues. In fact, this is a no overtaking sign. It's quite a bit over in the distance. Let's see if we can see another one. No, we can't. So this, it's a yellow sign, and it's exactly this shape right here. So I don't know if you guys can make that out too well, but if you can see a sign like that, it says no overtaking, that's USA only. So given that the fact that I can't see any front license plates, we're going to try and remember some of the states that don't use them. So it's pretty I'd say like Missouri is probably a good option here. Obviously it's fairly flat and it gets hillier on the East Coast and the West Coast, whereas this kind of area here, the Great Plains, is much more flat. So I think like Missouri is probably a decent shout, somewhere that's pretty green. So maybe over this direction here, and I'm not going to bother to try and find anything too close here, but let's hope we get the right state. And okay, not bad. We were over 2 states in Indiana there. Indiana's another state that doesn't use front plates. I actually can't remember about Missouri, but yeah, Indiana definitely doesn't. So maybe we could have gone closer, but that's okay. Next round, let's check out what we've got here. We've actually got bollards, so we can definitely pay attention to that soon. We've got a short antenna. Antennas are normally found on the Generation 3 coverage. If you don't know about camera generations, let's take a quick refresher of our memories here. So different camera generations are found in different countries. Obviously, in the blue countries, you can see the countries that have Generation 2, 3, and 4, and that's most common in kind of richer developed countries because they got coverage first, whereas less developed countries often got coverage later, so that's the green and the yellow countries. So given that we're Generation 3, that's probably the most common camera generation. Doesn't really limit the options too much. But let's check out this house over here. So given that the road is kind of dodgy, I'm thinking of Eastern Europe. I know it's not exactly like a nice thing to say, but yeah, there's just less money in that part of the world. So also the fact that this house is made of bricks is interesting, and it has a red roof, and red roofs are definitely more common out in Eastern Europe and in Europe in general. So if you see red roofs, definitely worth keeping in mind. Now the question is, how far north or east are we in Europe? Because some of these trees feel a little bit more northern, but I don't think it is actually going to be in the Baltics or anything like that. Probably a little too dry. So I'm thinking of like Croatia here is possible. Obviously that would kind of fit with the antenna. Apart from that, the fact that it's a brick house is quite interesting to me here. Not really sure what I make of that. Could actually be one of these countries up here as well. I'm not really an expert on Europe, unfortunately. What else was I thinking here? Maybe a drier part of Slovenia is also possible. Seems fairly flat, but I actually don't mind Croatia here. I have to say I don't mind. Yeah, there's a bunch of different options here. I'm not really sure what it's going to be, but I'm happy with Croatia. So let's see. And yes, this was indeed Croatia, so not really my most confident guess, but that was pretty much all we had to work with, so a tough round and a good score. Okay, so the next one is going to be, well, let's actually run through the clues. So we've got white lines on the outside of the road here. I always look at the road lines first. Definitely my style of doing things. Looking at the architecture is almost enough to give it away here, and we definitely know we're in East Asia when we see all these blue roofs. For whatever reason, in East Asia they're using a lot of blue roofs, and I really like the way that looks, just personal preference, but yeah, that definitely helps out. We got a white car over here as well, so that will help us out. And we are winter coverage as well. So check it out, all the trees, I mean, they're evergreens, but they still look a little bit drab. It's because it's the middle of winter, I assume, or at least maybe not the middle, but we do have some snow as well. And so we've got this East Asian architecture, and we have a Korean car here. I know my cars decently well, so, or maybe it's just confirmation bias, but I'm pretty sure this is a Korean car, not a Japanese one. And because they were the two options here, I am fairly confident that this is indeed Korea. Korea has more winter coverage anyway. So what else can we see here? We can see a lot of poles, and often Korean poles will have a yellow guard on them that looks different to the Japanese one. We can see one over here, but it's a bit too far away to make out. So, yep, just the fact that we're hilly is also a good indicator of Korea. We have all these pines as well. I mean, it's just the fact that we would otherwise have the low camera as well is leaning me towards Japan, towards Korea. Japan would have, you know, the camera would be lower down. It's so you can't see over people's fences as easily, and it would have a wider blur for that reason. But anyway, in terms of where this is, I'm not really sure, but we are in the middle of the country and in the middle of some hills, so I'm gonna guess a bit further north here. We'll see. And yeah, that is right on the North Korean border, so near the river that separates the two countries, but a decent effort. 4.6k is a good score, and we're on track for a good one here, so I'm glad that when I started recording, I'm playing well. Okay, so the next location here, we have a bunch of Scots Pines. They're the kind of redder trunk. You definitely see those more northern, so we're keeping that in mind here. We have a bunch of cars here. One thing to notice in Geoguessr is the length of plates, because these plates all have a good amount of length. They're actually quite long, and you'll see shorter plates in North America, Mexico, United States, Canada. So we can pretty much rule those out off the bat just from the fact that the plates are long. And you can see a blue strip, so it should be in an EU or EU adjacent country here. And yes, this is an European car. This one is too. This one is too. That one's not, but yeah, we can definitely say confidently that we are in Europe here. Also, of course, the white road lines, that also helps us out. Okay, so let's check this out. We've got interesting architecture here, some white houses, which I'm not really sure about, but we do have some language here, so let's read that. So it says, Artero Project. That is unfortunate that it's actually in English, because otherwise it could have been quite helpful, to be honest. But let's check it out. We actually have rolling hills here, which is interesting. One thing to note is that the Baltics are extremely flat. And so is Finland to a great extent as well, so I'm not really sure if we're going to be there. It's interesting though. I actually think we might be further down in Europe despite these Scots Pines. We could be in Czechia or Slovakia, I do think. Somewhere near Austria, because it almost looks like Austrian architecture, but the hills are probably not tall enough. So I'm thinking Slovakia at this point, and we are on a 4-country streak, so it would be nice if we got it correct. We also are lacking a antenna here, but of course the antenna is not always visible even in countries with the antenna. It says taxi. Yeah, nothing is really helping us apart from that. So I think I will just have to go with Slovakia here. I'm going to go near the Austrian border as well. So let's see if we're correct. And that was not a very good guess. That was Serbia. So I would consider that a pretty tough round. The trees actually looked a little bit more northern, but what else was I going to say? It was also fairly hilly, which is, you know, more characteristic of the south of Serbia, and it had no antenna, which I don't think you really ever find the antenna much in Serbia. So 21,400 is a good start, and let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. Hopefully you guys are learning. If you are enjoying the video so far, like and subscribe. Always helps me out and tells YouTube that it's a channel that people like to watch. So let's head into this next round. And yeah, we have a number of clues off the bat, so let's head straight into it. So here are the short plates I was telling you about. That will be a clue for sure here. We have a little bit of Spanish. If you play Geoguessr for a while, you'll get a good feel of telling the difference between Spanish and Portuguese, but honestly, this the fact that this is Spanish is something that I am getting more from the other clues than the language, but yeah, it definitely seems like Spanish to me. Anyhow, we are driving right-hand side of the road, so that is a good clue. And I have noticed over here that it does say cemexguatemala.com, so that might be a little bit of a clue as well. But let's also look at this Google car, which has the roof racks and the silver car. So that's definitely going to be useful for telling that you're in Guatemala. You'll notice that this is a similar car to the one we had in Kyrgyzstan, and there's also a similar car outside of Vientiane in Laos. So yeah, I'm thinking that this is almost 100% Guatemala for the reason that we have this car. It's also fairly flat, which is interesting. I mean, it's hilly, but it's not mountainous. So you definitely do get big mountains around Guatemala City and to the north as well. So you're gonna have to pick somewhere. I think maybe in the flatter parts between the mountain passes could be a good option. Otherwise, north of the mountains is the other option as well, I think. But yeah, apart from that, we'll actually see if we have anything useful here. Planta, could we actually have the city here? It is possible, but for the sake of time, I will just go quickly here. I'm just giving it a quick scan, and it doesn't seem like I can find it. So we're just going to guess somewhere near the center here and pick up a good score. And sure enough, it was actually to the south of Guatemala City, but we are 85 kilometers away, and a pretty easy round. Also, memorizing the side of the road that countries drive on is very useful. If you have any historical knowledge, just think about the countries that were colonized by Britain, and you could just take away Canada and Nigeria, and maybe, like, I don't know about Ghana as well, but take away those three, roughly, as the ones that don't drive left-hand side of the road, and you're pretty good. And speaking of left-hand side drive, we have a car here driving on the left-hand side of the road. So looking at this, what do you think? Well, it's very green, so that pretty much rules out a lot of left-hand drive countries, to be fair. We also have a very old camera here. We have the wide blur on the bottom and a halo at the top, so that lets us know that we're in Generation 2. So remember, Generation 2 typically found in more developed countries. So you'd think here maybe the options are UK, Ireland, maybe like a very green part of New Zealand or something like that. So let's take a look over here. So it says Fischer German. So interesting, not really a help, but the biggest clue over here, of course, is the yellow plates and the architecture. So this yellow plate is only found on the rear in Britain. And over here we can see that we have a blue strip on a white plate that's also long. Keeping that in mind, it's also long, and it is on a European car, so it's this one. So we can be pretty confident that we're in Britain here. Now, Britain, of course, includes everything up to Northern Ireland and Scotland, but it doesn't include Ireland. So you'd feel a little bit unlucky if you find this yellow plate in Ireland in the actual Republic. So let's take a look at the architecture as well. We don't have exposed brick here, which is interesting. Definitely something you see a lot in England, so thinking about that, but over here we do see some brick, so for that reason, I'm thinking it could be just somewhere north of Manchester and Leeds. Also, perhaps could be up in Scotland. I would not put Scotland out of the question here. It is rather like rolling hills. Could be Wales as well, but I'm going to guess England here because of the architecture. So let's see. And yeah, that was actually near Coventry, near Birmingham, near Northampton. So yeah, not a bad effort. And 200 Ks is, yeah, not a bad result, I would say. Okay, so next one. Let's see what we got going on here. Biggest clue off the bat for me is this sign here where we have a metal kind of frame and it's holding in place like that. And that is only found in some countries, but particularly common in the country we're in right now. So keep in mind what you'd be guessing as we look around here. We have a yellow plate over here, but the other ones are white. We can see a white one here, white one here, white one here, yellow one over there. Okay, so that's going to be another clue for us for sure. And it says Vestergaarde. So you can see by the kind of accent I'm putting on there, probably a Germanic language, but we're not in Germany. We're not in Germany because Germany only has old coverage. Okay, so yeah, Kulturhuset Industrien. So yeah, we definitely have quite a Germanic language here. A lot of brick houses as well. Okay, keeping this in mind, a lot of brick houses. So let's bring it all together and I'll tell you what I think here. So this type of sign is very common in Denmark. Also, you can see that it also has the metal border on the street sign as well. And actually in Denmark, it's very common to have VEJ at the end, which means street. But this one doesn't have it. Garda probably means something in that realm as well, but it's much more common to see V. I think it's probably pronounced VEJ. These yellow plates are on vans. It's crucial to note that they're both on vans, and so often vans and like service vehicles in Denmark will be using yellow plates on both the front and the rear. Obviously, we're clearly driving right-hand side as well here. So we probably could find the exact location here. It's hilly. It's not hilly. It's a bit rolling, but it's definitely not mountainous. So we can kind of we can be fairly confident that this is Denmark. And as for where exactly, I'm not sure. Also, blue signs pretty common in Denmark as well. They'll often have red ones and blue ones. But let's just go there. I'm happy with that. And sure enough, we're 22 kilometers away. We were in Arup. Which is a nice looking town. Definitely miss Europe. So quaint. Nice towns. So here we are on the next one. On a dirt road, we have a small antenna here. Okay, so we've taken in the meta clues. This seems to be a Generation 3 one. Look, we have a long plate with a tinge of blue, so it should be somewhere in the EU or somewhere EU adjacent. Checking out this architecture is interesting. We have the antenna, so probably not Serbia. But this does remind me of Serbian architecture, so I'm thinking for that reason, perhaps Slovakia and Czechia are likely here. Okay, but actually I'm going to eat my words because this is a holy pole, and holy poles are mostly found in Hungary, Poland, you probably Romania as well. You probably knew that, but definitely worth keeping in mind. So perhaps Hungary here, but Hungary is a very flat country, only kind of got some hillier portions up here. Maybe southern Poland. I definitely consider southern Poland. So Romania is an option here. So let's check out any other clues we've got going on. This pole is not a holy pole. Neither is that one. So that is interesting. Could this be a fluke holy pole that's trying to bait us? That one is as well. So that one is also a holy pole as well. So at this point, I am leaning... I don't know. I think I'm leaning southern Poland here. Just because it's a bit hilly and we've got the holy poles. But yeah, this could really be Hungary as well. I'm not good enough at my architecture to be confident with that, to be honest. So I'm not going to wait any longer. I think I will just go for Poland here, but I might regret this. Let's see. And good, it was Poland. It was actually a fair bit further north. Yeah, you do get some hills in Poland like that. And yeah, a nice looking village. 3,999 points is not bad. And we moved to a 4-country streak, so that's good. Alright, this one's interesting. Looks like Australia off the bat. Let's take a look around. But it's not. We have the white car. So in Australia, generally speaking, the car will be either obscured or have a long antenna. And because this one has neither, we can be confident that we're not in Australia. So let's check this one out. We have the white car, and we have the sun. It's more to the south, though, which is interesting. Well, I don't trust that. It's really just to the east. So let's start thinking about different options here. So with the white car, we could be seeing any of these South African countries: South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Lesotho. With the white car, obviously you can also see Chile, and Peru and Bolivia. So they're pretty much the options here in my eyes. We have gum trees here, which is what really initially drew me to Australia. But no, they grow elsewhere nicely as well. So we've got hills in the background to the north here. We have a dirt road. It's very temperate climate, so I expect this to be somewhere a good amount away from the equator, which will definitely help us out. So maybe Chile. I don't think Chile actually has this car. The white car in Chile probably looks slightly different. So we are pretty much left with South Africa here. And because it's a dirt road, I don't really feel confident that this could be Eswatini. It could be, but I don't feel confident. Lesotho is probably too hilly. Botswana is probably too dry. So I think I have pretty much narrowed it down to South Africa here. A lot helped by the Google car meta here, which you should certainly learn from the map that I included at the start of the video, if you haven't already. But yeah, I think I just have to go South Africa here. And if it looks like Australia, I think somewhere between Lesotho and Eswatini could be pretty smart here, because it should be roughly in line with, yeah, I think it would be roughly in line with like northern New South Wales, southern Queensland, somewhere inland. I don't mind that. Could be further out this direction too, although given how green it is, I wouldn't be surprised if we're pretty close here. So let's see if we are correct. And yes, we were rather close, exactly in line, so I'm happy with the latitude there. It's over further to Bloemfontein, between Bloemfontein and Johannesburg, but a decent guess, I think you'll agree, and 22,500. So you can see we can definitely pull some high scores here when we are thinking with all cylinders running, huh? Okay, so we've got a broken location here, which is fine. Apparently, well, actually, let's just restart it. We don't need to play the broken location. We have the liberty of just exiting because that's the first round of the game. And here we have the next one. Okay, so let us check out what we've got going on here. And I'm just going to check that I'm recording. I am. That is fantastic. Very pleased. So we have a brand new camera generation, as in we can see that it is very high quality here. The colors are vibrant. That's the two biggest things. When it's high quality, definitely high definition image here, and it is rather what's I saying? Yeah, rather saturated. Then you can be confident that it's Generation 4. Over here we have a bit of Chinese. Now, this could be Japanese, but I am relatively confident because of the other clues that this should be Chinese, a form of written Chinese here. And we can see some more language over here. Japanese, obviously using the 3 different alphabets. I'm still not the best at telling, but relatively confident. We have a concrete pole over here, which is interesting. I'm not really sure if I'm super familiar with this one, but yeah, good clue nonetheless. We have some buildings over here. So interesting as well. We have some palm trees. So I don't know if you guys are getting this from the vegetation here, but I'm definitely feeling that this is probably going to be closer to the tropics. So somewhere around the tropic area. And because of the Chinese, I think that it would make sense for Taiwan to be here. Obviously, it's also worth knowing the countries that can't be in Geoguessr generally, and you can't get China. So unless it is Macau, Hong Kong, or Taiwan, depending on what your political stances are, maybe you count those, but for me, this one is going to be in Taiwan. And yeah, it's fairly hilly. We've got hill to the north, and we do seem to be in a hilly spot in general. And I want to guess closer to the equator here just because it is so green, but I could be wrong about that. Also, this architecture looks pretty Taiwanese. And the best way to tell that this is not Japan is that we don't have low camera. And that is pretty self-explanatory. The camera would be lower if we were in Japan or Switzerland. And you can get that in Taiwan. It's just not very common. And so for that reason, I'm just going to guess here. We'll see if we are correct. This was way up north, unfortunately. Not the best guess ever. And the hills to the north kind of baited us. You see, I tried to guess somewhere with hills roughly to the north in the south. But yeah, that was a bit of a strange location. All things considered though, we still got the right country and we still got 4,300 points. That's the good thing about small countries. Okay, so we're back in a rural location here. Fortunately, this will be an easy guess. So we have the yellow lines on the outside. You guys know that that is often an indicator of the South African countries or Middle Eastern countries. Well, I think this is pretty obviously one of the South African countries for a number of reasons. Well, let's take a look around here. This is a South African sign, and I definitely have heard of this city. I could probably find it relatively quickly if I wanted to. In fact, here it is. And we could probably actually 5K this round. So one good thing about mappers, the guy who made the map, his way of doing South Africa is these often put it next to these green intersection signs. And so given that we have the city, we can probably get a good score here. Now, I can't be really bothered, so let's just talk about the other clues here. We've got a big mountain, actually. That actually probably means we're probably somewhere around here, doesn't it? If we're near a big mountain, that would probably mean that if that's to our north, yeah, surely we are somewhere around here. Anyhow, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Main things to say is that this is Generation 2, and Generation 2 is only South Africa, Eswatini, Lesotho, Botswana. None of them use Generation 2 camera. You can see it from the massive blur at the bottom here. It's also kind of lower quality Generation 2 than you'll see elsewhere as well. And yes, we know what city we are near, so let's just guess. And 56 kilometers, so that hill was just a one-off hill there, which is quite interesting. So we're on a 7-country streak now, fortunately, and me oh my, we have a Russian intersection here, guys. I'm sorry if I spoiled it for you right off the bat, but you can see that we have like 20, probably at 25-ish bollards here on this intersection, and that is a great indication of Russia. For whatever reason, their intersections are aligned with the things, and yeah, we just have this fairly generic design. Obviously, they actually have a bunch of different designs in Russia. Now we have a black car. You can just make out the fact that it's black with a long antenna. That is also what you're going to see basically every Russian round. So stop worrying. If you think something's Russia, you can just look for the long antenna with the black car. It sometimes will be obscured, of course. So take it with a grain of salt, but generally speaking, pretty confident. Also, let's take a look. We've got white road lines, so that's also great. Looking like we're going to be somewhere in Asia or Europe. We also have these signs with the black bottoms. That's very common in Russia, and it's basically specifically Russia. I mean, you see it in Thailand as well, but you're not going to be confusing those two countries too often. And yeah, we can see like fairly sparse tree coverage, so I am thinking more northern here. Now, of course, the big bummer with Russia is its size. So I'm thinking that this is going to be north of Moscow, somewhere north of Moscow in Russia. And of course, that makes up a lot of land area. But one good thing to consider is that Russia tends to have less coverage towards the north. So not to mention that there is like literally no one living out here. But yeah, a lot of these roads that link these cities, is there even a road that links this city? I don't think. A lot of these cities that are on the rivers don't even have roads linking them, let alone street view. So we can be pretty confident that we are not like north of Moscow here, that we are, but we are not out in like Siberia or something like that, is what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm thinking up here is rather likely, also because these trees look rather Baltic, but they're so sparse that it is making me suspicious here. You also do get some coverage around Surgut, so around this area here. And yes, we could also be somewhere around Bratsk or Krasnoyarsk or something like that as well. So I consider those all distinct possibilities. I think I'm going to go up this direction towards Murmansk here. So let's just actually give it a good guess, just in case we're correct. It actually should be east to west though, which is kind of a concern. Let's guess on that intersection there and hope for the best here. And what a Russia guess. What a Russia guess. That is absolutely insane. That's probably one of my best ever Russia guesses, especially just because it's so far north. And we were in Shumba, and on this intersection here. So that's a banging guess right there. No clues, just a good bit of common sense with the trees, and yeah, I rate that. So we're on a 8-country streak here, going very nicely. Just one failure for the episode so far. And we have white road lines here once again. Generation 2 camera. You can get pretty good at spotting that. It's got the wide blur. Okay, so that means we're probably in a more developed country. Now let's check out this. We've got E45, so that is going to be the highway we're on. We've got these speed signs that are yellow in the center. So very interesting here. Yellow in the center speed lines. We've also got bollards. Bollards going to be also useful. And we have some dashes on the side of the road. Actually, what is going to lead... So, at this point, I was fairly confident that this was either Sweden or Finland. Sweden and Finland both fill in their speed signs with yellow, so that is going to be super useful as well. I was relatively confident that it was Sweden because of the E45. I'm pretty sure that is how they number their things, with the E. So you can see the green E. It's a good way to spot things. Actually, okay, so we do have them in Finland as well. What is making me lean Sweden here is the fact that you can see the dashes that have been painted over on the outside of the road, and dashed outside roads are really common in Sweden. Now, this could be wrong. I could be wrong on this round, but you do see that dashed outside line. My only concern is that perhaps in Finland they used to do the dashes and now they covered them up. So, looking at these boards, sadly I can't remember if these ones are the Swedish or the Finnish varieties. We're driving right hand side of the road. This sign, I feel like that might be a Finnish sign. I'm starting to doubt myself here, guys. So let's actually check out the E45 and see kind of what latitude that would be at. Okay, the E45 seems to be fairly major in Sweden, which is kind of good and kind of bad. I'm actually kind of worried. Okay, we could actually be on the very far north reaches of the E45 here. I don't mind that. I don't mind that because it's generation 2, and I would expect it to be generation 4 or 3 otherwise. So let's see the E45 over in Finland. It seems to be less obvious here, so I like that. I like that. We can't find an E45 off the bat, so I think I will trust my gut here. Go with Sweden. Let's see. And, wow, it's way further south. I really would have expected this part of highway to be covered with modern camera. And to be fair, the trees did look more southern, so that's okay. 9 country streak, we are going well here. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Let me know if you guys like this video concept because it's fun to make, and yeah, I'm chilling. So let me know if it's something you like, and I'll definitely bring it back for more. Here we are in Marriott's warehouse. It's a cafe, restaurant, bar. So obviously, we're thinking an English-speaking country here. We've got these yellow plates that I mentioned last time we were in England, and so I really do think we're in England here again. So let's check out as well what we've got here. Something Lynn, Sea Cadets, or something like that. Okay, we are on a river here, restricted zone at any time. That's a European style of sign, but of course, we already have worked out based on the architecture and the number plates that we are in England. We have a lot of red brick here, so definitely thinking England is most likely here. A lot of the time you won't find as much exposed brick when you get to Ireland and Northern Ireland as well, and even Wales kind of follows that trend as well, I think. But I'm not really an expert at that part of the world. You can definitely find YouTubers who are better than I am at that. Anyhow, I really do think somewhere in Northern England is going to work here. Wouldn't even be surprised if it's something like Liverpool or Warrington, given the fact that we do have a little bit of, river along there. I mean, I don't think it fits actually, but let's go in the Warrington Rowing Club and hedge our bets like that. And yeah, this was not too far away. We were in King's Lynn. So there you go. Maybe a smarter person, or a person who had heard of that town, lived in England, could have actually worked it out from the Lynn. Fortunately, I've never heard of that place in my life, so yeah, it makes things a little tough, I guess. Okay, so moving on to the next round here, with us another 21,900. So apart from that Sweden guess, we were popping off there. Absolutely beautiful guesses in South Africa. That was an easy one. In Taiwan, nice Britain one, and very nice Russia one. Okay, so let's keep going. We will probably end the video about the time I get the streak broken, but we'll see. So we've got white road lines here. We got a white car, and we are driving left-hand side of the road. So not exactly what I was expecting to see, but yeah, you can easily see that we're driving left-hand side of the road here. Pretend for a moment that there were no cars at all. You can still see that this sign has the green facing towards us, and thus it is set up for left-hand drive. So that's a really good tip if you see a sign set up for a certain direction of travel. So for example, if you're driving left-hand side of the road, you're going to have the sign set up for left-hand drives on the left-hand side of the road. It's just fairly simple. Also, we've got long number plates here, so that means that we are not in North America. Very useful to know, although left-hand drive would preclude any of the North American countries anyway. Okay, so the white center lines here are definitely interesting. We've got like a reddish soil. We've got the white Google car. So the white Google car has really helped me out in deciding that this will be somewhere in South Africa. And actually, once again, this is too green for Botswana, too flat for Lesotho, and doesn't really look like Eswatini. Eswatini has a bit of a different vibe. You wouldn't probably find this, well, you could find the soil color, but you probably wouldn't find this kind of countryside. for that reason, I do kind of think that actually somewhere in this kind of region is probably likely again. What did we guess last time? I actually don't mind the exact same guess as we had last time. Yeah, I actually think this might even be a bit closer to Joburg or Pretoria this time, though. So let's see if I'm correct about that. And sure enough, we are on the other side of Johannesburg, and we pull a very nice guess. 11 Country Street, guys. We're going very nicely here. Okay, so next one. I think this one is looking relatively tough. Fortunately, we have a white car here, so let's start to analyze here. Let's start to analyze what is going on. Okay, so first things first, this one definitely has a lot of distinct geography. We have big mountains here. We have a dirt road, which is exceptionally interesting. Definitely very interesting indeed. We have some snow-capped mountains there. We have a lot of like very temperate, what I'll call very temperate, what do you call it? Very temperate trees, very temperate vegetation. We have a wooden fence here, very interesting indeed. So given that it's not very tropical, that is going to play a big factor in our guess here. And we've got to think about countries with white car now. Okay, so we have obviously all the South African nations, we know about that. In terms of South America, Chile uses the white car, Bolivia uses the white car, Peru. So that is pretty much our main options for this specific type of white car here, with the kind of like thin red back of it. Also possible are Southeast Asian nations here. Even though I said it doesn't look very tropical, they do use the white car that's similar to this as well. Just trying to think of other countries where this could realistically be, but yeah, maybe somewhere else in Asia. My heart is kind of lying with Chile at the moment, even though I'm not exactly sure if this exact white car is in Chile. I think it is, but these snow-capped mountains and the temperate climate do seem to make it the best option here, in my opinion. These wooden fences you do see in South America sometimes, the fact that it's on a dirt road is a big clue. Obviously, we can't be in Europe, because Europe you would never find this white car. The car is normally obscured all but for the antenna. So that's interesting. Definitely interesting. We've got a power pole here. Yep. I mean, to me, this reminds me of New Zealand's climate, but New Zealand doesn't get the white car. So I am feeling like, yeah, like South America, like Chile is the go here. Now, could this be New Zealand? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about the car meta, and this is, but I don't think we're going to be able to tell that. So I think I will actually stick with my gut here and go somewhere in the very far south and southern reaches of Chile here. Let's go over here near this national park. Chile, you actually do get coverage all the way to the bottom, and it can look like this. So hopefully not Argentina. Argentina and Uruguay were kind of left out of the conversation here because they normally use black cars. And this one is a white car, so let's hope I'm correct about that. And indeed, it is Chile. I was actually kind of stressed there because I wasn't entirely sure on the Google car, but it can really help you to know that Chile indeed uses the white one. And we were pretty close. I mean, not the most fantastic guess ever, but a good score nonetheless. So let's continue on to the next round. So we have a lot of red brick buildings. That is definitely going to be helpful here. We appear to be driving right-hand side of the road. Okay, we've got a dog here. It feels rather high altitude to me, for the fact that there is not much vegetation going on in the center here. That could just be because it's a construction zone, but just something I'm keeping in mind. We have like green shutters on these windows. Not really sure what the deal is there, but yeah, this is very interesting. I think, well, we have the white car here. So as I said, that pretty much narrows us down to Peru sometimes, Bolivia, and Chile for this particular car here that has no antenna and is a little bit less blurred out, has a smaller red light. You'd find the one with the bigger red light in Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, and that kind of thing. But yeah, checking out this Google car and whatnot, got like some Spanish kind of graffiti on the walls here. I'm thinking that this feels more like Bolivia, because it's very high up, and because of the use of these massive brick structures. It's also quite poor, perhaps even poorer than Peru, and also these trees here kind of more temperate feeling, and of course Peru in its own right does feel quite temperate as well. However, even though it is closer to the equator, it's a bit drier. However, you would think that these are a bit further south, these kind of pine trees here. So that's all I wanted to say about that. As for the rest of it, I do just think with the architecture, it fits better with Colombia, and I think La Paz, you definitely see a lot of that kind of buildings around there. And do we see any mountains actually? I wouldn't be surprised if we were up in the mountains already. So I'm not really sure where the best place to guess is for that reason. Maybe up here. In fact, this kind of thing kind of definitely works with the way it looks, and the road angle is wrong, so we're almost certainly not exactly there, but something that looks like that would be ideal here. I can't find, maybe this one here. I mean, that almost certainly doesn't work either, but let's go for the La Paz area. And yes, we were in La Paz. Unfortunately, we were down the hill rather than up the hill. There you go, that is the road. And we got the right city. So, going super nicely here, guys. Next one, we've got double yellows in the center, so always look for that first. Double yellows, meaning somewhere in the Americas. And checking out this architecture, definitely feeling more North America. So immediately, what my mindset now is look for a flag, because in North America, they are very patriotic, and sure enough, here is the American flag. That is definitely going to help us out, because this one almost looks like Canada. So let's check out this. Adams Township. Kind of reminds me of Vermont here, or something in the north of the country, possibly New England, you know, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, something like that, where it's going to be a bit more hilly. And yeah, also these signs have holes all the way going down, and that is definitely something you see more in the US than in Canada. We also have a yellow sign, that is the typical one you'd see in the Americas, so plenty of things to lead us to the United States. I mean, obviously that's found in Canada too, but plenty of other clues to lead us to the United States here. We have a short plate, as I was talking about. It's white, and you'd have green plates in Vermont, so maybe Maine is our better option here. It has to be a hilly state. New Hampshire is also possible. I don't know my American license plates off by heart, but definitely seems to be possible. This red house is interesting. But I think I will just go for it. It's going to be somewhere in the US, so I'm pretty confident here. And this was actually in Michigan. So there you go, right up north here, and it actually gets a lot hilly here. So Michigan is definitely a state that I associate with being quite flat. That's probably over here on the peninsula. Yeah, apparently you do get a few hills over here. So I've noted it, South Range, okay. And a bad score, but a good result for our country streak. Of course, I was a bit worried there when I saw the pin moving north that we might have actually been in Canada and got baited by the flag. Anyhow, the next round, we have a wooden pole here. We have a European style sign. You just have to kind of learn that thing, but this one is indeed a European style sign. We have white lines on the edge of the road, so that's definitely also a European thing to do. So yeah, just overwhelmingly confident that we are in Europe here. We have a short antenna here, although it's quite obscured, so it could be a long one that's also obscured. And you have to say that this vegetation feels a little bit more northern. We have these Scots Pines, the kind of red bark trees. We also have some birch trees here as well. So for that reason, I'm definitely thinking Scandi here. I'm thinking Sweden, I'm thinking Finland. Norway would also be an option here, however, it would be a bit hillier. Not to mention the fact that in Norway, you often have a better camera generation. You often have camera generation 4, and this one is camera generation 3. It's just a fact about Norway that it's very likely to have the 4th generation of camera. Check out the fact that the sun is directly to the south here, so that would indicate to us as well that we are probably more northern. And yeah, this poll's interesting. Not really too familiar with it. I would suggest this is more likely to be Sweden. However, the fact that we don't have dashes on the outside lines of the road could indicate, actually, that this is going to be Finland. So kind of tossing up between those two here. We've got a lake. Obviously, lakes are a particular favorite of Sweden and Finland here. Plenty of them to go around. So, where am I going to go here? Where am I going to go? My gut says Sweden. My gut says Sweden. Look at these dashes. Are these a bit too long for what you'd see in Sweden? No, I'm not sure about that. I'm really not. Well, let me know what you guys think in the comments right now. Comment what you think, and you're going to have to see if I pull through here, but maybe you can already tell by the video length. I think, because also Generation 2 is much more common in Finland as well, so that's definitely weighing into my decision here. I want to be fully transparent with that. Got a puddle here. This blue sign definitely could be seen in either country, I feel like. We've got a snow pole here. Can't actually tell which countries it would be. Okay, I think I will go Sweden here. I think so. I think because it's a bit hillier, because it's Generation 3 camera. The only thing that's discouraging me is the fact that there's no dashes on the outside of the road. So let us hope here. I'm going to go up here in Sweden. Let's see. And sure enough, it was in Finland. There you have it, 3,700 points. Quite a bummer of a result there. But maybe I should have known because of those dashes. I don't know. A tough round to be sure. A lot of Scots Pines as well. Right near St. Petersburg. Actually, that is quite a quick trip if you actually wanted to go from there to Esbjerg. Yes, that is it for the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that through this you learnt a thing or two about Geoguessr, and look at that, I'm now a seeker. Fantastic. But I hope you guys learnt a thing or two, and let me know if you want me to bring this back, because I'd be more than happy to. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a chill day. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Catch you later.